What's going on, Z Nation, and welcome to another edition of ZSPN. I'm your host, Zaid here. And today, guys, we're going to be talking about the Denver Broncos and the 2019 NFL Draft. We're continuing on of the draft selections for not just the Denver Broncos, but for the rest of the NFL teams in day 2 of draft day. I believe the Broncos, and the rest of the NFL teams are doing their second and third round selections. As of right now, the Denver Broncos once again continuing to surprise Broncos country with their selections of this year's draft, and they're making some great moves when it comes to their selection, and especially with trades. Now, it's not the type of trade that they made on day 1 in the first round when they had, at the one point, the 10th overall pick in this year's draft, but, they traded it to the to get the 20th overall with more drafts attached to it, and I'll put the details of that sort of trade that went down on day 1 of the NFL draft, and they did it with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and just out of nowhere, they drafted a tight end from Iowa. I believe his name was Noah Flant. So obviously that I made a video about that, so you guys can check that out. But as of the second and third round, the Denver Broncos went with some players who, once again, there are potential needs that the Broncos are basically looking at, and obviously they also made a trade. So technically, they made a back-to-back draft with this sort of trade that they made, I believe, with it was either with the Cincinnati Bengals, or I believe it was, but I'll put the details of that sort of trade that they made. They basically wanted to trade up so they can potentially have a back-to-back draft selection that they were really wanting to get, and obviously they did. With the second round selection, the Broncos went with a offensive lineman who is a local guy of Denver, Colorado, and he's a hometown guy, so obviously they went with a guy like him. I believe his name is Dalton Retner, something like that. I'll put his picture in the name so you guys can check him out. Obviously, I believe he plays either right guard or right tackle, something like that. I mean, the guy is really gifted during his times. I believe it was with the Kansas City, something like that. I forgot what was the university that he attended, but he's just a really good guy who could really protect a quarterback, especially somebody like Joe Flacco. And with the type of improvements that the Broncos are putting out there for to improve the offensive team, is really showing that they want to continue on with the future with these young offensive linemen like Garrett Bowles and the rest of the offensive linemen that's on the Denver Broncos team. So great selection for the Denver Broncos. And then, like I said a couple of minutes ago, the Broncos traded up with I forgot what was the team. I think it was the Bengals, but to get a back-to-back draft selection, and I'm really impressed with this one. They went with a quarterback by the name of Drew Lock. The guys, let's just talk about Drew Lock for just a minute. I mean, the guy is really gifted. He has a strong arm, and he can throw the ball accurately. I mean, lots of I believe like scoutings and analysts really were praising this guy because he is that type of guy that once he learns learns how to develop maybe a year, he potentially can be a franchise quarterback. And for quite some time, the Denver Broncos never really had a solid solid quarterback to really take over to become a franchise quarterback. I mean, we have been struggling with that for these past couple of years, probably since Peyton Manning. So, and we moved on with I don't know, quarterbacks like Trevor Siemian, at one point Brock Osweiler, and Paxton Lynch, which he was a bust. So it really had to do with John Elway's sort of selection of quarterbacks, and he keeps on failing when it comes to that. But I just hope that somebody like Drew Lock will really change things around for the organization, and hopefully by having somebody like Joe Flacco, who can really he has experience, he's a veteran champion, he could potentially take Lock under his wing and potentially groom him to be the next quarterback for the Denver Broncos for the long haul. So that I have to say, guys, he is a something special guy. Now, I can honestly say, even though he's a great quarterback, the problem I really have with him is just he's not really a mobile quarterback. I mean, I'm the type of guy who really likes mobile types of quarterbacks who can not just throw the ball, but they can also move. They can even run yards, and there's sort of like a running back slash quarterback type of scenario, and that's why I like it. That's why I like it, those type of quarterbacks. But Drew Lock, I can guarantee you guys, he can really develop that. But he what I really like about him most is just his arm, and especially his throwing accuracy. He was basically ranked, I believe, around like maybe the second prospects to, really with the type of talent that he brings. I mean, if you think about the list, it's Haskins, then it's Drew Lock, and then I believe it's somebody like I forgot his name. I believe his name was Daniel Jones, which the Giants, I have to say, the Giants made a bad decision by drafting this guy. I mean, they really should have gone after Haskins, but it is what it is, and maybe they see something that we don't. But anyway, that's a different story for another time. But I'm just really impressed by the selection of the Denver Broncos. They also drafted another player. I believe he is I might be wrong, but I'll put his information. I forgot his name really, because I was more engaged about the second round and the selection that the Broncos made with the trade and getting back to back. But I know they drafted a player in the third round. I believe he's a defensive lineman, but I might be wrong with that. But I'll put the information and the guy's name on this video, so you guys will check him out. But other than that, guys, please comment down below, give me your thoughts of the Broncos selection so far. Did you guys like that the Broncos went back-to-back drafts with that type of trade, which really showed that they really wanted to draft Drew Lock as that second round selection that they had in their arsenal with that first trade that they made in day one of the first round of this year's draft. So if you guys like that sort of scenario, please comment down below. If you guys disagree, please give me your thoughts. Maybe the Broncos should have drafted this guy or that guy, maybe a wide receiver. I mean, it still remains to be seen, because we still have until Saturday and Sunday that the Broncos can maybe draft somebody that could be a need, or just basically the best player available that they think is a good prospect that could really improve the team. But as of right now, I really believe that the Broncos right now are doing very well. And so far, their draft selections, I have to give them an A. They really went with their needs of the team, but at the same time, they went after players that are that make analysts and scouting coaches really impressed, because they throughout the draft event, I mean, they were really praising these guys that the Broncos selected, especially the tight end from Iowa. I mean, the guy is really gifted, and he basically draws the comparison to his former teammate from Iowa. So they're both even, and they can basically dominate this this league in a very huge way, and especially for their own teams. So I kind of like the Broncos selections, and I hope they keep it up. So guys, please comment down below, like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Go Broncos. Take it easy.